Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone around the world. I am Paul Sisler, and this is In the Moment. And I tell you, today we are truly in the moment, in the flow, in everything, because we are bringing the hero's journey to you. And those that are from my writing community, you know the trope of the hero's journey, which I will, shortly go over. But Plamedi is here to give us the hero's journey. So I am so looking forward to this. And then, of course, we have Shadow Fox and Lee Two Hawks. So let me bring in Shadow Fox and Lee Two Hawks. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello. How are you?
I am good. And how are you doing today?
Fantastic.
Don't ask.
Well, too late. I already did. All right. We already got Diana here saying hi. Hello, Diana.
Hello, Diana.
All right. All right. So I'm going to bring in our guest today, Plamedi. How are you, my good friend?
Hello, hello, hello. Oh, I'm fantastic and grateful to be here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for coming in and sharing this. We're excited to hear this. This is like I love the way how you explain things. And next week we're gonna have Kato on. And
That's gonna be powerful. That's gonna be powerful.
yeah, and so they're gonna kind of both of these shows will kind of be a blend. So yeah.
That'll be dope.
Yes, yes.
Man.
So let's start out with Shadow Fox and Lee Two Hawks. Your thoughts and views on the hero's journey before we get to Plamedi.
Go ahead.
Okay. First of all, because I have an overreach or overarching preview of all that exists. So when we say a hero, to me, it is not that celebrity that had a terrible circumstance and survived. No. It is that person who has cancers and continue. It is that person in poverty that still perseveres. It is that person just living in a space that they can't understand, whether it's attenuation of poverty or of drug use or anything of that nature. These are my heroes. Those people who persevere through very abstract and sometimes substantial issues in their life. And I call them the crises. Crises in Greek means to separate. It means that divides one time period from another. You were in this space, now you're in a different space because you went through something that caused a disturbance in your field of resonance.
The soul.
Huh?
The
Oh, okay.
crisis
All right.
with
All
the-
right. Yeah. Well, I look.
That was fantastic.
I look from the soul's perspective. All right.
Mm.
The soul is our engineer, is our mediator between us and higher levels. And it is instructed. Its instruction is to, and it is us at a higher level, the soul, to present to the human on the physical level, us here in the physical form, certain lessons that through either karmic incidents or bringing forth new adventures that will allow us to proceed further in consciousness.
that evolution.
That evolution, yes. So in that, the soul is there in presenting us or awakening certain aspects of ourselves that we have not resolved yet. And that creates crises.
Yep.
Excellent. Excellent.
This is so good. I love that.
I know. I know. And then you have the writer's perspective. Okay. And a lot of what they just said goes into the writer's perspective.
Yeah.
As I was talking with Plamedi before Shadow Fox and Lee came in, I had a chart with the hero's journey, which anybody can get. And this is for writing, the departure, the initiation, and the return. And it goes through a lot of the things that Shadow Fox and Lee Two Hawks was just talking about. And where I find this very, very interesting because the hero's journey is a trope in writing. I am so excited to hear about Plamedi's, hero journey, to where not only for me as a writer, but me as a newly awakened human being,
I love that. I love that. I love
to myself in everyday life. And this is what I'm looking forward to, because of course the hero's journey in writing, that's a fantasy. That's
Yeah.
that's fictional writing on how the hero always survives in the end, and
Yeah,
and always comes up with the sword or the elixir or whatever.
Right.
I want the real life, the
Well,
So the sword or the elixir, excuse me.
Oh God.
I'll let her talk. The sword or the elixir is making that contact as a physical human being with the soul. That's the sword. That's the cutting instance that awakens us to a prominence of what we are worthy and what we perceive ourselves to be.
And just to tie in with the writers, okay, it's like life is stranger than fiction.
Yeah. Oh, that part. That part. That part. That part.
So all three of us, we're all on the same page here, guys, and it's just a way of expression, how we find that. And remember, those points of contention that are in our lives really are for us to have a forward movement, for us to evolve. And if we're stuck within them, it's like if you were in a book, writing that book, you get to a certain part, and then guess what? Now there's writer's block. You put the book down, you walk away, and it's like, where's the ending? So this is that part that I'd like to turn over to Plamedi for a moment, and let's see how our astrological signs can kind of play into this hero's journey.
So Plamedi, begin with Aries, because we're both Aries.
Actually, I love that you brought up Aries.
Virgo rising.
Right before you start, Plamedi, I just want to let our viewers know, if you have comments, go ahead and put them in there. Even if I don't get to them right away, just know I will come back to them. So don't feel like I'm ignoring you. I'm going to let Plamedi just run with this. So.
But see, here's the thing, Paul. When I come on, you always ignore me.
Yeah. I make it a point.
Impossible.
I make it a point to. It's a skill that I have, and I use.
It's a skill that I have.
I mean, like when I'm on the other shows, I come in and I'll tell you.
You guys are.
I'm sorry, I just gotta mess with Paul.
No, you good. I love it, honestly. Like, especially like I'm a big fan of watching older generation people still have fun and like joy. Because like when you're a kid, one of my favorite movies of all time is this movie called The Little Prince. I don't know if you guys have ever read it, but I love The Little Prince so much because it's like when you're a kid, your idea of adulthood is these mindless, tall, gigantic robots who just do nothing and their life is dry and boring. And you're like Peter Pan. You're trying to do everything you can not to grow up.
Well,
so
the thing is my daughter says, my daughter says, like when she pays a bill or something, or she's got to handle something on the telephone, she goes, I'm Dalton now.
Exactly. I'm Dalton
now.
Facts. Okay, so we'll start. I'll go through them rather quickly. I don't want to take up too much time. And I'm going to explain which each one's kind of sign and the reason why I believe that they are the way they are. So I think that astrologically speaking, just kind of like Paul said, and like just like Shadow Fox said as well, life is so much stranger than we think we are. One of the joys that I've gotten from being a shaman is that shamans are storytellers. That's like a huge integral part of what we are. It's like it's so, and that's why shamans shape culture. That's why they create culture. They create people's ways of life, and they really do it through these stories. That's what I love about the shaman. The shaman isn't like a king who has like a law book and he goes, you gotta do this, and you gotta do this, and you gotta do this. He just tells you stories that change your perspective and the way that you look at reality. And that inner journey makes you go on wherever you end up going. And it's wonderful. It's a technique that just blows my mind away every time I see it. So we start with Aries. I can feel about that. So we start with Aries. Like Aries is what I like to call the spark, like the spark of the soul. So if I take a lighter, give you an example. Take a lighter. I always like to use the example with the lighter because I like visuals. I'm a visual person. So if you take Aries, Aries is the spark, just that spark in the beginning. It's the spark of life, and it's just how like you start out in the beginning. You start out as this spark, and then from that spark you move on to Taurus. Now Taurus is the skin. It's Venus. It's the skin. It rules the skin in astrology. So it's that spark, Aries, going into what we would call the egg or the embryo, which is that 0 dot. It's that symbolism. And then you start from there. And then the third would be Gemini, which is the twins. That's cell division. And then your cells divide. And then the fourth one is Cancer. Cancer rules the ancestors. That's actually the making of the baby. Like, that's when the actual, like, hey, this is what you're gonna look like. This is what you're gonna have in common with your great-great-grandfather and your great-great-grandmother. And these are the gifts we're gonna give you. These are the weaknesses you're gonna have. Like, all of these things happen during Cancer. Then the fifth is Leo. Now, Leo is the sun or the lion, because when you come out the womb, how you know that you are alive, how you declare your existence is roaring. Exactly. And that is why Leo represents the child in astrology, because you roar your way into life. You go, I am here. And sorry, what? Now, you move on from that and you become to Virgo. Virgo is very special because it's the child in early development. So if you look at babies when they first come out, they don't know anything that's going on. They're happy, but they're a little nervous. You can see in their face. They're like, "What's that? Who's that? Where are you going? What's that? What's that?" Your nervous system is still building itself and still learning how to, just learn how to like live with resistance and things like that. So that's Virgo, and Virgo also rules the nervous system. This is why Virgo people can have anxiety and stomach aches and things like that. It's still that unknowingness. You don't quite know yet. And also, beautifully, Virgo is the only one that represents divination, like a divine being in astrology. So it's when you are at your purest as a being on earth, because you just came from source. You're not tainted by this is right, this is wrong, you're just being, and at the finest core of what that actually means. Like, we as spiritual people, everything that we're trying to do is to get back to that state of just being and really doing things from a place of love, even unconsciously. Like, babies are loving, they don't even realize that they're loving, they're just loving. It's very powerful. Then you get to 7, which is like Libra. Libra is what we call the formative years of your life. That's when, like, from the age of 1 to 7. And that's when you start making judgments. That's when consciousness comes in. This is when the weighing of the scales comes in. This is when you start looking at your options and being like, oh, is this good? Is this bad? Oh, okay, maybe I should do this. Oh, if I don't do that, then this happens. The weighing of the odds start happening. Now, after the age of 1 to 7, from about, let's say, maybe 7 to, let's say, 14, 15, this is when you go through the 8th house, which is Scorpio. Scorpio is all about transformation and rebirth. Now, the transformation that happens that when you're a child is when you're 1 to 7, you're growing your consciousness. You're learning what's right, what's wrong, which way to go, which way not to go, who I should interact with, who I shouldn't interact with, things like that. But from 7 to about 14, 16, that's when you're figuring out, who am I here? Because you're now at the age where you don't have the thing when you were a kid where you just thought that you were one being. You don't have that, oh, I'm physical and I'm spiritual. You're just like, I'm this being. But when you get to Scorpio, you get to that transformation phase where it's like, okay, I understand that I am physical, but I'm also spiritual. And that leads to a new shift in perspective. In society, how that usually happens is you go to school and this is the first time you get a girlfriend, and that transforms the way you look at life. Or you get your driver's license and now you can go on the road, and that transforms your perspective. All of these things. Then you get to 9, which is Sagittarius. Now, that period of time is your college years, your university years. That's when you get all the thinking, philosophizing. Let's look at it this way. What about this perspective? Oh man, I never thought about this philosophy. Oh, that's interesting. You're just soaking up all of the energy, and you're living in a period of time of boundless possibility. Yeah. Boundless possibility. And you're like, okay. Then you get to the 10th house, which is Capricorn. This is when you become, on the hero's perspective, this is when the hero actually gets to go and do his job. This is when he trained in school, he went to hero school, he went to Hero Academy, and now he's finally able to get his hero badge. He's got it all signed and notarized. Exactly, and he can go to the workforce. And then from the 10th house, you get into the 11th house. The 11th house is really interesting because it's the house of Aquarius, which is one of my favorite astrological signs and placements, because this is where the hero realizes that, okay, I can be a hero. I can be the person with the shining armor and stuff, but what is a hero's job? Like, actually, like, what is it that I'm supposed to do with these powers that I've cultivated in school, with these philosophies, with all of these things? What am I supposed to do with that? And that's when the humanitarian aspect kicks in. This is why Aquarius rules humanitarian and communities. Why? Because just like Lee Tuhawk said, that I love, everyone is a hero. And the biggest heroes that you actually know are not these big celebrities that live at the top. They got their own interesting stories as well. But the people who are really the heroes are more likely the people in your community that walk by you every single day that you don't really pay attention to. Those are the heroes. Those are the people who keep the community together and keep families together. So that's the 11th house. That's when the hero realizes it's not just about glory. It's about my impact on humanity, not for the sake of me, but for the sake of humanity in itself. It's almost Christ-like. Then you get to the 12th house. So the 12th house is Pisces. I get one of my favorite placements again. It's like Pisces is such an interesting one. It rules mystery. Like, people think that Scorpio rules mystery, but really Pisces rules mystery a lot more than Scorpio does. And the reason why is because Pisces is the unknowable. It's the beyond. It's the transcendent. And humans, we're very good at like hopping in and out of transcendence. Like, we'll have transcendent mode and then we go right back. We'll be like, I'm awakened, I have all the knowledge, and then somebody calls you with a phone bill and you're like, and you're back. So Pisces is the realm where we will never fully be able to claim and go, I know what's on the other side like that, because there's a difference between somebody who visits your home and somebody who lives with you, right? It's two completely different things.
Yes. So
Pisces is the end of the journey where the hero transcends. So what does that mean? Because he already transcended with humanity, and he transcended himself. But Pisces is about transcending the world. One of my favorite albums, and I'm going to be bringing this up a lot today, is this album by Mr. Kendrick Lamar called Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. If you really want to understand the hero's journey, I think that he is one of the greatest storytellers in explaining that, because he has this song called Savior, and in the beginning of the song he says, Future told you to go get a money counter, but he is not your savior. Drake told you to go and dance, but he is not your savior. Kendrick Lamar told you to think about it, but he is not your savior. He is not your savior. He is not your savior. And that's what Pisces is about. It's about the hero being able to transcend the world. And this is where heroes, ironically, become iconic. This is when they become iconic and revered. it's because of that place of, okay, now I am beyond the world. It's not about me trying to help humanity. It's about teaching humanity that, hey, what I did is what you can do. I am no greater than you. This isn't about me. I'm also important. I matter. Like Leo, I'm the baby. I exist. I'm here. But it's not about me. It's about what we collectively together can create, because Pisces is the definition of together we are God. If you took the mind of every single human being and you pieced it all together from our human perspective, that would be God. So that's what Pisces is about. It's about transcending the world. So I say that all to say that that's pretty much it when it comes to that aspect, and that's all I'm going to say for now.
Okay, I've got multiple questions.
Please.
I'm going to give a few to give other people the opportunity.
Sure.
First of all, I'm confused about the precession of the equinox, which means you from Aries into Pisces, going backwards. Okay?
Right.
That's the precession, meaning going backwards.
Okay.
I don't fully understand that. Now, can a person exist in 3 or 4 aspects of different fields of experience, from Pisces to maybe a Leo to maybe Capricorn or something of nature? Okay, can a person do that in a single lifetime? Now, isn't the process of a hero going through all 12 steps as Jesus did, and becoming masters of each one? And in that, you become the complete entity. You become that master of all that is.
I think just for just a moment, it's like the question that Lee brings up, and how you were expressing, how we can apply the astrological signs into the actual path that we take from actual conception, the spark, the fire, okay, into returning back into the Godhead, okay, or the etheric. I mean, and again, that is a part of where our consciousness can be seated, right? Because like with Aries, I mean, you can go with the traditional aspects, and Aries are the babies, they're,
Aries is the head, and
so,
you do the whole thing.
So with that set aside, I think that how you explained the journey part, okay, is how we can perceive every single day.
Exactly. That's the whole point.
We get up in the morning, we take that breath. Okay, there's the ignition, there's the fire. Okay, I mean, come on. How many times you guys got to get up and take a whiz so bad it's like fireman?
I hate when you got to wake up from a great
let's start today.
Now, in that, I know what you're saying. Okay, I just want to make one comment. May I make one comment?
He can make
one
comment.
You. I can make one comment.
Just one.
I'll answer your question.
I was the one that could only make a comment.
Okay.
Go ahead, sir.
To me, an overarching purview of all a human goes through multiple times throughout the eons of karmic building and karmic residuals, is all of it is meant to awaken to the soul life.
Yes.
To make that connection from out of the physical, out of the astral, out of the mental into the soul, and from there onward.
Yeah.
It is that awakening that precipitates our necessity to be on this life plane.
And I think Plamedi was making a mention of that when he was speaking about Pisces.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
So,
okay. I want to just make sure that.
No, please. I love questions, and I love that you're asking real ones, because there's going to be someone out there who's going to be listening to what you're saying, probably have the same question that you have as well. So I think that's wonderful. I believe, this is my personal belief, that there's no such thing as a bad question or a stupid question, and people who think like that generally end up being smarter, because they understand that the universe is infinite. How can you ask a bad question? But I was going to say this. So Yes, 100 million%. You can be in different aspects. So the hero's journey really can be summarized in 4 steps, right? It doesn't just have to be 12. Like that's the thing about the hero's journey. Like it's multiple. So like I have it on here on my phone. Like yeah, you can do the hero's journey in really like 4 steps from like the call to the helper to the abyss, which is the death and rebirth, the atonement to return. But that's very like you're super simplifying it. Like you're missing out. Like it's kind of like how when you watch a biography of somebody, they tell their story in 5-10 minutes, but you're talking about 30-40 years of somebody's life and career in like 5 minutes. Is the exact same way. Um, what happens is this is there's two things that we always have to keep in mind, right? Is light is information, as we all know. When let's just bring the chakras up because I think again I like visuals. I like making it visual in people's mind. Like when you look at the chakras, everybody has chakras. You can't say that a human being doesn't have chakras, but not everybody's chakra is spinning in the right way. And more importantly, not everybody's chakra is absorbing that much light. Right. Some people's chakra is absorbing 5% light, 10% light, 30% light, and on and on and on. This is what, from our perspective, we call levels of awareness and consciousness, because chakras are dimensions. They're entire dimensions in themselves. You can literally live in the root dimension, and we see it all the time. You can live in the sacred dimension.
And Plamedi, those within the chakras, our belief systems are stored within those chakras. And if those belief systems are not in alignment with the energy of in the understanding for what it is, like in the Pisces, like having that, that conscious awareness that is in full alignment, well, then guess what? That's where blockages. That's when those chakras are either like slowed down or just like a sieve being cluttered.
I like
different in that. So
no,
I just didn't point that out because there were a couple of episodes that we had done before, and we were kind of talking in a roundabout way. But that's yeah.
Oh, see, that's why I love talking to you guys, because you guys always like bring up talk that I bring, but like again, you guys have so much more knowledge and wisdom. You guys expand on these things that I talk about, and I love it. I love it. I was gonna say this really quickly. So basically, two things, right? First thing is light, right? Like everybody is absorbing light at different rates, right? At different densities, right? So this is what, from our perspective, we call different levels of awareness. So to bring it to your point, V2 Hawk, is you could be in Aries, right? In astrology, we have this. We have your birth chart. Your birth chart has different type of placements in there. And that is to represent the multidimensionality of who you are as a being. So if I go, you're an Aries, that's your sun sign. That's who you are in front of people. Who are you when you're by yourself? Who are you when you're at work? Who are you when you're in love? Who are you when you're spending time with your children? Who are you? To define a person just based on this one place that you're is a very flat and just very untruthful way of meeting people at that place. People are different depending on where you meet them at and things like that. So astrology puts that in place. So absolutely, you can be a Capricorn, and Capricorns are known to be worky. But if you get a Capricorn who's very work oriented, but he has a moon in Pisces, so he might work in the art district, and he might like poetry and going to events, and he's a romantic, and it changes completely. It changes completely the way that you interact. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, Paul. I think there's a question down there. I don't know if Diana has a question for Plamedi on this.
Oh, okay.
Yes. I was just waiting for him to finish up with Lee.
Yeah.
How does one recognize where they are on the hero's journey?
Oh, that's wonderful. That's a good question. Shout out Diane. That's a wonderful question. Okay, so first thing first that I always recommend to do is go and get the hero's journey, like on Google. Just type it out, look at it. What I love about human beings is we're very incredibly honest, like body-wise. You know what really lies to us? This right here.
Yep. This
right here is the biggest liar you will ever read in your life. But this right here, oh man, this can't lie even if it wants to. It can't. It's this that tries to rationalize what this is feeling.
Yep.
So when you look at the hero's journey, you'll naturally start going and trying to relate because that's what humans do. We need to be able to relate. We need to be able to see ourselves in the stories. All your favorite movies are movies in which you can relate. You don't have a single movie that's like, that's my favorite movie because I have nothing in common with it. It doesn't work like that. So when you look at the hero's journey, simply look at it and go, okay, all right, so the beginning is, all right, so the beginning we have, sorry. So in the beginning we have the call to adventure. Have I been called to a call to adventure? Well, I wanted to start a business. Okay, that was my call to adventure. It definitely took me a lot. Okay, I went through that. Then there was supernatural aid. Supernatural aid. What happened at that point? Well, I was trying to start this business, and then my mom called me out of nowhere, and she was like, "Hey, I really think that you'd be good at this business," and I was gonna start exactly that business that she was talking about. Like, you can trace yourself slowly and surely, but to make it a little bit more pragmatic and more dense is really one of the best ways to identify where you are on the hero's journey is just to start exactly where you're at right now.
Yep.
Like just go, okay, all right, I am on the call to adventure. That's where I am. I'm at the call because these things are cyclical. So it's not like you go like, I'm at death and rebirth, and then that's it, and then it's over, and then I just chill. Like you're gonna go through these phases ever. So I always recommend to people, honestly, if that first thing that I told you, if you can't relate, if you can't somehow find where you are on the hero's journey just based on your own personal experiences, which 80-90% of the time you will be able to know where you kind of are.
Yeah.
But if you can't, then at that point, just start from call to adventure. I promise you, you will find yourself right again.
Thank you. Thank you. I hope that helps, Diana.
Yeah, I hope so too. I hope it wasn't complicated.
Okay, if I'm puking in a toilet because I'm drunk,
Mhm.
where am I in the status of my life?
Drunk.
I like that. No, that's a good question. Okay, so what? So if let's say, so what we would have to look at in that scenario is why you're puking and drunk, right? So let's say that like you're puking and drunk because you know that there's this like you have this great job opportunity or this thing that you have to become. So and you refuse that and you inebriate yourself so you can get away from that. That's denying the call. You can see that, oh, okay, I'm right there. I'm like denying the call. Like for me being a shaman, I tell this to people all the time. I say this shaman stuff very lightly. I don't say it because it's fun. I denied this for years, for years. Ancestors coming up to me and be like, you gotta be a shaman. I'm like, I live in the city, right? I live in an industry that doesn't care about me being a shaman, right? Like, so that's what I would tell myself. I would rationalize. And one day I got into a ceremony, and in the middle of the ceremony, they literally just came to me and they were like, yo, you can keep ducking this all you want, but you're gonna keep getting stuck in the same place until you finally accept what we need you to do because this is not about you. And that's what it took me. It took me 2-3 years of being on the journey to realize that. I said this yesterday on my Twitter Spaces. Your desires are so much deeper than you know. There's so much, like we try to make, especially in the spiritual community, and I understand what we're trying to do. We're trying to transcend. I get it, but we really try to make desires seem like they're these frivolous things, like I couldn't be bothered with them.
So Plamedi, let me ask you, when we're looking at the overall, the large spectrum from Aries to Pisces, and you kind of explained and expressed how each one is that transition into the other. Okay, you're born, you're a kid, then you're a teenager, you're an adult, a young adult, an adult that finds themselves, so on and so forth. So when we can take a look at those, like when we started this, we were talking about those points of contention, those crises that we face, and we could be facing them in multiple ways throughout the day, such as you get up in the morning, like you were speaking about, you're thinking about doing a business, and then your mother calls, and then, you know, we can get distracted or diverted, right? There's lots of little shiny objects over here.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
So can you very quickly kind of break those, let's just say break those, the zodiac sign down into where the hero's journey is within a time frame of a day? Is there, you know, like as we're going through, because during the day,
Oh, like during the day itself. Okay.
we are
Ooh.
transitioning, because this is where it's like this is the micro, right? What
Mhm.
you explained, part of that was the macro, right?
Right,
From
right.
Aries to Pisces. That was like the macro. This is the journey. But
Right.
can we break it down where on like a daily basis, where we get up and where that transition fits? Because it's like, I think what Diana was looking at is like, okay, well, how can I find, like, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, after we've had lunch and I'm at work and everything, and it's like, you know, everything's going to hell in a handbag. Okay.
Right.
Where can I find, because again, it's that point of contention, right?
Okay,
There
okay.
is something now, you know, I know Cato's going to be speaking, you know, next week about different, you know, food or herbs and things like that that can help based upon what sign, you know, you're usually.
Oh, she's smart. Yeah, that's called
Yeah.
yeah.
And so what I'm trying to do is tie it together, because people don't recognize that this energy is playing out every single day, every single moment, every single hour, every single week.
Ooh, okay.
I would like to express
Okay. So
before you get started, dear one.
yeah. Good. Oh, then Paul, then go, then I'll go.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would like to express
Mhm.
that each day brings its own tendencies.
Yep.
And I think sometimes all of a sudden your day begins beautifully. There's a
Yep.
crash, somebody dies, somebody's
Yep.
torn, etc., or a brief argument with a loved one or something like that.
Yep.
You transition into a different stage of your cycle
Yep.
in order to handle
See,
that particular
Yeah.
circumstance.
right.
And I think that happens just unconsciously.
Yep.
We don't say, "Oh, I want to go in the Capricorn right now, God damn it!"
Right.
Okay.
We just do it.
Yes. And
That's
so
real.
this is
That's
what I
true.
like. I'm just trying to bring it up, because I don't think people recognize that, you know, during the day, I'm all about energy. I'm all about
Right.
the flow and staying in, right? You got to kind of ups and downs and so on and so forth. But during the day, these are all being played out. We don't have to be in this energy just for the month, right? It literally affects us. All of it in its totality affects us on a daily basis.
Right. Okay, so Paul, I'm gonna let you make your point, and then I'll say my point. I'll try to make it short and concise, even though this is very big.
I love this, because as you went through each month, I'm looking at my writer's hero journey chart. And every month coincides with 1 through 12 on the hero's journey.
Yes, okay, yes, I'm glad, okay, yes.
Coincides. So, in relation to like what Lee Two Hawks was saying, what Diana asked, I wake up in the morning, the ordinary world, number one, Aries, bam, I woke up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Call of adventure. I got out of bed.
Yeah, that part.
Bed. Refusal of the call. I don't want to make the goddamn coffee. God, will somebody please make it for me?
Either that, or I don't care to go to work today.
The mentor, myself, I gotta make the coffee. So I make the coffee. I cross that first threshold. My test. God, did the coffee come out good? Yes, it did. I've got my caffeine. Now I got to deal with my allies and my enemies and all that. I got to deal with the phone calls coming in. I got to take my pet for the walk. Now I got to approach that innermost cave in myself. Oh, can I do this? Blah, blah, blah. And then there's
lunch.
I got a call from the bill collector. No, I can't make this payment today. I will give you a call next week because I have no money. I'll have money next week. Thank you.
Right.
And the reward is The
Yeah.
truth is that's taken care of for the day, so I don't have to deal with that again. And now the road back. The night is coming. What have I accomplished today? The resurrection of completion. I feel so good. I got this done, and I return with the elixir. I get to go to sleep. I made it through another day.
See his version. Wow, his version is so much better than like my version. I'm gonna keep it 100. Like his version is fantastic.
Applies to the day. It applies.
It's so much better than what I was gonna come up because I've never thought about it from because I was gonna bring this up on my point of view is that like we have to be very careful. This is maybe sometimes where like my rationality gets the best of me, so I try to move out of it. But it's like when we're talking about archetypes, it's really hard to make the microcosm because we're talking about something that's archetypal. So it's like so I love the way that Paul did it. I think that he did a far better job than I would have even been able to do at that, honestly.
Well, and this is the point, and we can go back to like, life is stranger than fiction. These are those points. It's just here's an entirely different view, guys. Okay, we're not saying that it's either right or wrong. It's just another view, and if it's a seed thought that somebody can grab a hold and go, wait a second, do you mean at 4:00 in the afternoon when I'm dragging and it's like I'm just looking at getting home? Like Paul said, where's the elixir? Someone may say, oh my gosh, I'm in that aspect of the zodiac, the elixir. Oh, I'm gonna go grab a bottle of wine and share it with my best friend or something, so that I can celebrate the day's journey. And in the day's journey, then we step into the day's evening.
Yeah, I was gonna say because it's funny that you brought that up because in astrology, that's what happens. Like for example, like astrology has that measurement which tells you like, hey, this hour is Pisces season. I mean, this is Pisces hour. This is Aries hour. This is So that's very very common, especially in the occult.
Yeah.
The only thing I wanted to add to what I said on that fitting the hero's journey into a day.
Yeah.
That for my life's journey is just the ordinary world.
That's
okay. So I complete the hero's journey every day in the situational hero's journey on a daily basis. And I can still be trapped in the ordinary world and never go beyond that because I never get that call to adventure. I'm just surviving every day, living the hero's journey on a daily basis. And then I get a call for the adventure and all that. Hey, we were going to offer you a scholarship to go to this school because of this thing that you wrote or blah, blah, blah. Or, hey, I have some extra money and all that. I'd like to send you through college or whatever. Call of adventure. Now in my life's journey, I just hit number 2. I just hit what's this next month after Aries?
Taurus.
Bam, I'm now into Taurus. All right. But now I might go through the hero's journey because I got to take a test in that class. So preparing for that test, I go through the hero's journey. So I got all these hero's journeys adding up to my life journey.
And then here's another thing, and this is a very, very important point that I'd really like to make, because as we're going through this, whether you can take the hero's journey and break it down into increments, those 12 increments within a day, or you take it into a week, or you take it into a month. Here's a point where many people kind of can get stuck. And this is like, for instance, something happens to them, the passing of a loved one, or some drastic illness comes upon them, and they have to refocus. And here, what happens is that energy goes where the focus is, right?
That part.
Become extremely, let's just say, abridged, stuck within that one contentious moment, and they forget to step back and review and go, wait a second, like, okay, right now I may be dealing with this, but I still stand within a moment of gratitude because I have breath. Instead of going, directly in, and this is where it's like, and I see it over and over and over again in spaces where there are so many people that continue to live within that past, that structure. This is what happened. I survived this. There comes a point where, in that survival mode, you
Right.
stop in being the survivalist, right? Then guess what? Then you get to go. Then you get to go one further and become that maverick. You don't have to stay stuck within that. So even within the hero's journey, when we're looking at past, present, and future, that past, present, and future is, you can apply it to a day. The day started out, man, I got off on the wrong side of the bed, man. Everything went downhill. My
Right.
mother called. I was planning on doing this business. My mother called, and then guess what? It just went downhill from
Right.
right? So we get stuck sometimes through our day or through our week or the month or sometimes even a year or
Yeah,
two.
yeah, I didn't do that. I didn't do that.
We're not looking where we're finishing up the day, right? Where we're finishing, where we get to that point of, say, Capricorn. All right, we're in Capricorn, and it's like, I know it. I'm here. I have all the tools that I have to have, and then nothing else. We're not finishing that day. We're not finishing that week, and we're stuck in the pain, the suffering, the turmoil, the trauma and drama. And so
Okay.
this is the point, and this is where, because we're gonna say this. There's stuff that is happening that's coming down the pipeline. And this is why we're really doing these segments. Like we've had, I don't know, 4 or 5 of them now, like building upon each other and kind of shifting the topic a little bit and bringing more information. And Plamedi, this is why, we had you come in and kind of speak about this, because it's the next segue for when Cato speaks, and then people can start putting the 2 and 2 together, the puzzle pieces, because this is a point. We're humanity in all of its components is right now presented with a crisis.
Yes.
Points of contention. What are we going to do with it? Are we going to remain as a little baby like the Aries going, wah, 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 hear me roar?
Right.
Or are we going to step into the more adult Capricorn, for instance, and say, I have all the tools available to me. Now, where's the wisdom from Pisces that can propel us forward?
Ooh, okay, wait. So I just wanted to say, wait. So, oh man, you just said so much. So I'm gonna try to be concise because I don't want to make it too long. But I love.
He's got to take off, guys.
No, I just
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So I was gonna say this really quickly because I love the word that you use. I'm going to use. I'm thinking it was Paul that used it. If I'm correct, is No, I think it was you. I think it was like situational hero.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that term a lot. Situational hero. I think that's a wonderful term because if you speak to people, I was watching a wonderful podcast about this man who helped. There was a shooting somewhere in America, and this man helped clear everybody out of the house because out of the club that they were all at, and helped everybody. And he was seen as a great hero and everything. But when you speak to those people who do these incredibly heroic things, they don't view themselves as Superman, or they were just like, no, like I had a choice to make in the moment and I chose to act. And that's what differs me from people who are not heroes, right? So I'll say this. This is the thing I wanted to bring up really quickly, and this is, it's so beautiful. I love that you brought this up. I think that a lot of times when we look at the hero's journey, we have this thing of like it's really unpopular to be like here in the world. I don't know how to explain that really in a good way, but like I think that like nowadays we're in a period of time where there's so much mistrust for anything that we don't know personally. Like if you meet another person and it's like they're through a screen and you hear about them, you're like, that person's probably in the Illuminati. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just like we have so much like mistrust among each other.
Yeah.
But the hero's journey is so powerful because what it does is it helps the average person realize that I too am a hero. And to get to the end of Pisces, what I'm trying to say is this: is the reason why I brought up Kendrick Lamar is because Kendrick Lamar perfectly explains, especially in the stories of us as Black people and as Black men, the things that happen at times where you go through survival, like you were saying, and sometimes your ego kicks in, because your ego kicks in multiple ways. There's spiritual ego, there's material ego, there's ego kicks in. It has this funny little ways of sneaking into you. So what happens is sometimes you get what I call survivor's ego.
Yeah.
And I see this a lot in my community. I'm just being very honest, where it's like we have survivor's ego, where it's like you have a lot of pain and trauma that you've gone through, a lot of situations, and they're not fake. Nobody can come up to you and go, you didn't go through what you went through. You don't deserve to talk the way. It's like, no, you don't get to tell me that I didn't suffer. You didn't get to tell me that I didn't get to go through it. Like, I really went through it. So, but what happens is when you use that as like this, like armor, like this, like I'm invincible, like you can't touch me, which is really kind of like Cancer, right? I'm a Cancer, so I should know. Cancer has the hard shell, but they're really soft on the inside.
Boy, I don't see it.
Hey, I had to build a really tough shell, a really tough shell.
It can also be utilized, exactly what you're speaking about, can also be utilized as a crutch.
But exactly, that's what I'm trying to say. Exactly. So it's like that's what happens is people use the survivor's ego. That's why I call it the survivor's ego, as this like template of like, I went through these things. And for example, I say this all the time, and you guys tell me if you agree. I'll sit down with people and I'll go and you'll hear them talk about life. And I'll be like, oh man, like, don't you think that we all deserve to be like joyous and like, everybody should get shelter and food and water and things like that? And immediately go, no, nobody ever did that for me. What do you get it?
Yeah.
And it's that pain. It's that like, wow. So like I suffered, and because I don't want to sit down with myself and actually learn how to deal with my suffering, I'd rather put on this survivor's ego and tell you, hey, you deserve to go through pain because I'm going through it, and this is what makes me feel good, and it keeps me sane.
Right, exactly.
Okay. In regard to what you're saying, suppose heroism, which is courage over adversity.
Ooh, I love that. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Courage over adversity. I have medals from Vietnam that were given to me for so-called bravery. It wasn't bravery. I was protecting my people. I was doing what I could because it had to be done.
Yeah.
And I didn't want anything back from that. I didn't want a freaking medal. It meant nothing. But what I did for my people meant something.
Yeah.
And I think that's critical. That's important to understand. Don't expect anything back from the good that you do.
Yep.
You do it because it has to be done. Okay.
Ooh! See, I love that because that's Pisces. That's Pisces.
Yeah. Hang on.
I have three things, and then I'll shut up. And this is beyond what we're talking about, okay? But this is the important part. We as humans on this earth, in this physical plane, with all our tragedy, with all our drama, should try to keep in our head, okay? There are three aspects to the human being. One is spirit. Spirit is a synthesis of life. Life is a gift. Living is the experience.
Ooh! I love
it. You have life. You wake up breathing, you have life. You die, you still have life. On this plane, your expression of life is living.
Yes.
And it's that living that causes either distress or glory.
Yep.
One or the other.
Yep.
Okay. The second aspect we talked about spirit is soul. Soul is a unity of consciousness, which means all that we have thought, all that we have brought forward is recorded out there in that massive entity, which is us, the soul, and that's all fed back to us in further lifetimes down the road.
Right.
Whether it's cruel or whether it's fantastic, whether it's beneficent or degrading,
right?
We have to answer for it in some way or another.
Oh, facts.
Soul is a mechanism that controls the aspect of our livingness.
So the third part
is the integration of forms. the bodies which we carry, which is, of course, we all know the physical, etheric, the astral, and the mental, of which there are two levels,
Yeah.
and the embodiment of the soul itself.
Yep. And so this is these components, and again, we're Lee is bringing something forward that it fits into this, and again, it's for further study. Those who kind of have an idea about it already can take that information and run with it. They can take it, break it apart, put it into everything that we're saying here. But the reason is because it is important, because this is multifaceted, multi-level at this point. If it's something that you do not understand, then guess what? Then maybe there's a few things, a few books, a few different study formats that you may have to indulge in, because this is going to be all hands on deck. It really is. It's each and every person's function, purpose. Why are we here?
Yeah.
Why we are on
okay, yes.
this journey. And in the hero's journey is a requirement of an understanding of all three of those aspects that Lee Two Hawks just mentioned. I mean, I think Diana had a question down here. I see she wrote.
Okay, wait, before we get to Diane's question, can I just say this really quickly? So I think that this is really important. One of the greatest questions, I think it's fourth question that we can ask ourselves is who I am, where am I going? Right? Those are the three foundational questions of life. Like who I am, where am I, and where am I going? And more importantly, where am I
soul or body.
Right. Exactly. See, all this correlates. So what I was gonna say is this is when we have like the hero's journey, and this is what makes me really happy talking with you guys. I think that one of the biggest blessings that I've ever had in my life is the fact that I listen to the elders. I keep bringing up my community as Black people, not because I'm trying to create divide among people, because we are all one people and one race at the end of the day.
Yes.
But I bring it up because these are important, because every single group of people have gone through different things that shape them into the people that we love.
Right.
So when I look at my community, I see a lot of the facts that a lot of these things, like the hero's journey, is things that we don't know about. So when you brought it up and you're like, man, the average person could like benefit from that, immediately made me think, I'm like, man, like in the culture that we have set up, where we were set up to be mindless consumers. I'm just being very honest. Like we're set up to be mindless consumers. And when you're set up to be a mindless consumer, it takes you a long time. Again, it goes back to why I love that Kendrick Lamar album, because I think that the hero or God or whatever the highest peak is for you, I think there's levels to that. You can have heroes among thieves. You can have heroes among heroes. You can have kings among kings. Like there's levels to what the highest is. Like you could be the highest in grade 1, but you're not the highest in grade 3. So I think that when just to wrap it up really quickly, I say that to say that like I think that what's beautiful is that sometimes in the average person's life, they might feel like I'm not in a place to be a hero. Like this is something I learned from personal experience when I talk to people. There are so many people who walk around with a defeated mentality, who walk around like I could never be the main character in my life story. I'm much better just being the sidekick in your own story. Like, and I think that when you do it from a place of empathy and compassion, there's nothing wrong with showing up in the world and saying, hey, I am the hero of my journey, and what that actually entails, because like we say, heavy is the head that wears the crown. Everybody likes the crown, but they don't like what comes with it when you wear it.
That's right. And you
to me, a hero is somebody who enlightens other people.
And
I love that. That's a bar. I've been taking that with me.
Exactly what you were speaking about are those different levels of where we can raise our energies. Like I was like, I think about maybe 4 segments back, we did we did a segment about raising our vibrational energy, the conscious awareness, and there were 2 specific different aspects that we were speaking about, and there was a little I did a little, what was it, Paul? It was a little sheet of paper, and it kind of gave an actual visual for what
Oh,
you
okay,
were
okay.
actually speaking about. And this is what's important to bring people back around to the end of this, right? Is that here we have a community. We have Paul that is contributing within a writer's agreement, okay, a writer's process. We have you with the, that astrological aspect, and then us bringing that aspect of energy into it and how it applies to us every day. And if anybody is interested, please, I think it was like four of them back. I can't remember the title of it, Paul. I
Oh
really
yeah, send that to me. I'll check it out for sure.
yeah, and it was right before we went into the dreams about nightmares. It was the one right before Fear Not, monsters, ghosts, and goblins, or something. Because we were bringing
Fear Not,
information.
Monsters, Ghosts, and Ghouls, episode 20.
Okay, so it would have been 19, I believe. I think it was episode
Stairway
19.
to Consciousness.
You got it.
So 19. Okay, episode 19. I'll go check it out today.
Yeah. So and that is another aspect. So guess what? As a community here, we're tying different puzzle pieces together.
Yeah.
And it's creating that spider's web, right? It's an ecosystem. This is
Ecosystem.
yeah. And so no matter how you slice it, you're gonna have a piece of the pie.
Yes, and you know, so beautiful too is I was talking to my friend Guru, really quick, and then I'll let Lee Tuhas go. I was talking to my friend Guru, and we were talking about this. It's so funny as the human experience in itself, because it's like so much of your life and so much of who you are as a human being. Um, is made out of the experiences that you have. Like I live in Windsor predominantly right now, so it's right across from Detroit. And when I live here, we're trying to create an art scene here for artists to be able to be more engaged. And one thing that we quickly learned when we started building up the scene in the city is that you really can't force people to just go, this is the greater good, come together now. Like if you start with that, they're like, I don't care about that. They don't really. It's unfortunate. It hurts my heart. But what made me realize is, and I'll say this and I'll let Lee Tuhak go, is one of the mistakes that we've made is a lot of times people try to create communities based on interest instead of values.
Yep.
See, interest is what gets you into a relationship. I like you because of this. I like you because of that. I like you because interest. But values is what sustains. Values make sure that there's certain conversations we're just never gonna have because it's in our value system.
Interestingly, and I'm going to say my last, and I got to take off.
Okay, it was wonderful talking to you, sir.
There is what I have always called the community of the divine.
Sorry, there's a plane going over my head. Sorry. Please repeat that again. The
There's
community.
that aspect of what I call the community of the divine.
Oh, the community of the divine. I love that.
Which is all humanity.
Mhm.
And if we can understand that, anything else is superfluous.
Yep.
It doesn't matter because we carry this God flame, this Christ flame, whatever you want to call it, the divinity. It's not out there, it's in each of us. And it's just a matter of pulling it out and acting according to our brother, to our sister, to any human on earth.
Right.
Equal status,
Yes.
color, tone, it doesn't matter.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Is like I feel like it's values. Like if you live in a community of people who don't value the fact that, like for example, that like we all need to come together, then it wouldn't break.
Don't recognize.
They don't recognize it. And here's the thing:
Yeah.
what happens to an umber when you blow on it gently?
Oh, it burns.
Oh,
Right. Okay,
Igniting.
I see. Okay, I see what you're trying to say.
Where Lee Tuhawks and I come in is we blow just a little bit, a little wind. We ignite. we bring that up. And then everybody else's purpose is to, grab a hold of that flame within themselves and nurture it and feed it. And it's like, because an umber is there, just like, for instance, where you were saying in Aries is the spark. To me, yeah, Aries is the spark. It is the umber. It is the spark is just the picking it, right?
Yeah, exactly. The beginning.
We blow, we give that little bit of feed that fire just a little bit, and it'll ignite all by itself.
See, because I'm in Aries, I'm impatient.
I feel you. I feel you. I'm working on it too.
I see the larger picture. I've seen it in dreams. I've seen it in communication from above, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
And so when I say these things, they're not incongruous with the reality. They're incongruous. They're not incongruous with what we call the phenomenal world, the world we live in, the world of meaning and significance. The world of meaning and significance is that next level up, where we can understand who we truly are. No more war, no more arguments, no more bitching, nothing, because we love each other.
It's
Facts. Yes, facts.
so much time in bringing information in, but yet when we're sitting there and having opposing views, where does it go? It goes.
And you know what's so real that you just made me realize too, which is something that I'm definitely taking with me after this conversation, is that, like, the job that you're supposed to have as a spiritual being is to anchor that light, that consciousness, that level onto this plane. So yes, it's good to talk about what's happening on this reality, but if you're trying to transcend, it's kind of like you're trying to go to the gym and you keep talking about how you used to be fat all day long. It's like, that's not gonna help you. Like, you do exactly the gym, being inspired by the gym, so you can actually get it done.
So
I like
understand that transcendence does not come to you; you become transcendent.
Right? Yes. Yes.
And by the way, Paul, just very quickly, because I know we're running over a little bit. Diana wrote something, and I really think that it would be a great thing if you could read it, because it could bring a close to this a little bit.
Which one?
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Something. I don't know. She wrote, hang on a minute. Maybe I can get it. Let me see, guys. Sorry. Excuse my head. To me, a true hero walks. There it is. Yeah.
A true hero walks in humility, coupled with confidence, because the can perceive the purpose of
okay.
large.
Yeah, let's end it here. Let's end it. Yes, let's end it here, because this is gonna be wonderful. You guys can go first, or I really don't mind, because at that point is such a wonderful point, and I talk about it all the time.
Go ahead. I got a couple things here before we take off.
So I guess it would be kind of like my last point for the day. And again, thank you guys so much for inviting me here. Thank you for thinking about me, Shadow Fox. Thank you so much for the wisdom, sir.
We love you.
Like, thank you. And I love you guys as well. Trust me, from the bottom of my heart. I'm so glad I met you guys. Man, we'll talk off camera. You guys have been wonderful in my life.
To use a rather trite phrase, because everybody's using it and they don't understand what it means, but you and I know what it means. Namaste.
Yes, namaste. Yes. And it means so much more when somebody actually understands what it means. Does it not mean like it's like you
like
get it?
Okay,
so not to get distracted, but basically the last point, if you could just bring it up again just to refresh it. Dina talked about how a true hero for her is one who has humility, because they can perceive the purpose of their effect on the universe at large. I love exactly how she framed that, because this is what I mean when I say that at the end of the day, one of my two favorite signs, and I love the era that we're in, is Aquarius, and I love Pisces. I love both of them. They're not. I got so many. It's hard to choose a favorite, but they're two of my favorite archetypes, and they're my two favorite archetypes because of this simple reason. When you are in Capricorn, Capricorn is the boss. That's just what the Capricorn is. The like if you
Wait a
want
minute,
to
wait a minute. I was married to a Capricorn.
right, and they're very bossy. I'm sure they were right. I'm sure she was very bossy. I'm sure she told you she was always right.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm really gonna have to wrap this up quickly
Right.
because I do have a space I gotta head out.
Okay. So I'll wrap it up. I'll make it up real fast. So I'm saying this to say this, like, okay. So I'm saying this to say this, like,
Sorry.
no, it's all good. I'm trying to make it concise. Like, I'm taking like, I feel like Einstein. I'm taking like a 2-point equation. I'm trying to make it into like 6 things. Okay. So, what I was trying to say is this: is the reason why I love Aquarius and Pisces is because it brings back again to Capricorn, right? Capricorn is the hero. It's like you finally got the badge, you're finally notarized, you can actually go out into the world. But that isn't what actually fundamentally makes you a hero. That Capricorn is having the superpowers. It's the qualifications. It's like you can't say that I'm not. Right? I'm saying like it's the qualifications. Aquarius is when the people, which is Aquarius rules the people, it rules communities. That's when the people choose you because a hero is not self-appointed. You don't get to look at yourself and go, I'm the hero. It's like being a genius. You don't get to be like, I'm a genius. It's kind of like something people have to tell you for you to figure out. So I say this quickly to say that like the hero is one who truly understands that everything that I am doing is not for the sake of just myself and my own ego. Why? Because he's already solved that in Capricorn. The hero knows he's capable. The hero knows what he can do. He knows that all of this philosophy and information I have is to make sure that now I can give onto the people. And then after he gives onto the people, he transcends even further and goes, okay, what happens when I'm not here?
Right.
Will you be okay without me? And that's what a good teacher does. A good teacher isn't just here to make sure that you learn all this stuff and you think that they're all awesome. A good teacher's job is when they know that the student will be fine even when they're not there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Plamedi, thank you. Thank you.
Plamedi,
for that.
we gotta go.
Yeah, Paul,
For sure.
he's going to take off. Paul, I know you got a couple of closing statements, and then I really have
Yes,
have to close.
No problem.
I just wanted to say, based on like what Diana said and what we've learned here today, my friend J.H. Colts, he's got a book called Secrets and Songbirds, and he's got a character in it called Fog that wants to be a hero. And the lesson that's learned on his journey is that the people that claim to be the heroes are heroes of currency. So they're not heroes. So it's the currency's journey, not the hero's journey. Where Fog wants to be a hero, and he's not actually on the hero's journey, he's on the ego's journey. And then Fox was talking about, and what you were talking about is the hero's journey, because it's not about the glory, it's not about the getting the money or being known. It's about completing something for the greater good of all.
And when you're looking at the very, very largest scope there is, the only currency that we could ever take with us, and the only currency we can really work with, is that of love.
Yes,
Love
yes. It's the best currency, and it's universal across every single dimension and universe you go to. The one currency that pays is love.
Yep, and it truly is. So it is the currency of love. And with that, Paul, I really have to.
Yes, I know. All right, everyone. Thank you. And
thank you so much for allowing me on the show.
Be kind, be happy, and may good things come your way.
Awesome. Thank you.